Hey everyone, I'm Rico from GoGo Garris, and if you're new to our channel, Alex and I usually share travel tips and tricks so you can plan your best vacation. However, today we're doing something a little different, and we have a special guest to talk about our full experience at when we were young and if it's even worth going. And that is my cousin, Camilo.
Hi, I'm his cousin, the special guest.
So yeah, Alex and I will be uploading more videos around our time in Las Vegas. So make sure you subscribe to our channel so you can catch those. So I guess first things first is maybe for those that aren't as familiar, tell the people what it is.
So when we were young, I think it started 3 years ago maybe, but it's just this big emo festival. Bands like My Chemical Romance or Pierce the Veil. Blink-182 has played before, and so has Alisana, as Ricardo's wearing.
Yeah, I feel like especially if you grew up in like that 2000s era of like emo alternative pop punk music. But yeah, I feel like emo's been making a resurgence, and When We Were Young has kind of played a big part in that too. 2022 was kind of when it started to make headlines. And I don't know if you knew this, but the first iteration was in like 2017. There was like a random festival.
No.
It was like the first time they ever had it with like
Oh, no.
Morrissey was headlining. Yeah, no, I was
That's
looking it up, and
crazy.
I
No.
didn't know they had it in 2017. But 2022, I feel like it's like when it really started to take shape, and they've had it yearly since then. So this
Um,
was our first, both of our first year going.
yeah, me and Ricardo shared the same music interests, and we like to party. We like to go to shows.
We like to party and we like to go to shows.
Yeah.
That's right. Also, the only other thing I wanted to cover with this is that it's put on by Live Nation. So I'm sure anyone who's familiar with music festivals or concerts in general, Live Nation is kind of just who we have to deal with a lot of times for these festivals. And with that, it means a pretty hefty price tag, right, Camilo?
Yeah. As a college student right now, I did not eat for probably 3 or 4 months.
Trying to save up for when we
Yeah.
were younger.
Yeah. I think if I remember correctly, it's in between the $400 or $500 range just for a ticket to the festival. And then if you're from
And
out
that's
of
for
state,
general admission. Yeah.
right, general admission, there was the VIP, which I guess we'll get into later, but
Yeah, it's expensive. So I think that's why even though they've had it since 2022, 2017, technically, I think back then, I remember there was a lot of people saying like, oh, this is going to be Firefest 2.0. Is this even going to be like a real thing? It was kind of like too good to be true because it was such a stacked lineup, and every year that's what it is. It's like super stacked.
absolutely. Yeah.
So November 23rd, 2023, When We Were Young Instagram posted this on their page announcing 2024's festival. And it was a little bit different. And that's because the concept for this year was to have all these bands play some of our favorite albums from this era. So yeah, first impression, Camila, what did you think of this?
I thought it was crazy. I didn't know because some of these albums are a little long. I was pretty skeptical whether it was going to work this year. Obviously, it worked in the past years and people were questioning it then, but they were able to pull it off for sure. Another thing I want to add is I don't know how much I can really speak on a lot of these albums because I don't know if I was born for some of them. But it was exciting, definitely. A new and interesting concept, I believe. So
Yeah, what year were you born? Like 2001?
yeah, 2001.
That's like same year as like this Simple Plan album, I think.
Right. Yeah. I think the All American Rejects. Okay, well, never mind. I'm not gonna say that. I was gonna stall it. No, cut that
We'll
out.
talk about them
cut,
later. Yeah.
cut that.
Yeah, I'm with you. Some of these albums, first glance, like was that like this Coheed one, the Good Apollo is, easily more than an hour long. But to me, that was like a selling point. It was like because I missed them touring on that album. So I was like, oh, I gotta see Coheed. I gotta see, I mean, Seosin. I mean, even the headliners, My Chemical Romance, Fall Out Boy. Those are some heavy hitters. They to Remember, Jimmy Eat World. I mean, I looked at this and I was like, I know, like, I grew up on 90% of these albums. Like, I have to make it work this year, this year. And that's what made me kind of say yes. I'm gonna go ahead and buy the tickets for this, and we'll just see what happens. So thanks, Camilo, for coming with me and not eating for 3 months.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like it was worth it.
Yeah.
Emo
Yeah.
diet.
Was there anything I remember looking at this and I was like, I was excited about all the bands, but there were definitely some albums that I was like, it's interesting that they would pick that one and maybe not something else. Was there anything like that for you that stood out?
There was, I feel like, oh, I remember. I feel like it was interesting that Census Fail had chose Still Searching instead of Let It Unfold You. I believe Let It Unfold You was probably the album that really, blew them up. I think I thought the same thing for A Day to Remember, Homesick classic album. But I was surprised they probably didn't play For Those Who Have a Heart
Mm,
instead.
mhm.
Uh, but no, great records overall.
I didn't find out till later that I guess it was the festival that decided which records the bands were going to play, and they told them like, or they asked them to play those. I mean, for me, I
Right.
was kind of surprised that Mike it was My Chemical Romance Black Parade, and I'm a
Yeah,
big Three Cheers fan, but on the other
same.
hand, I get like Welcome to the Black Parade is like one of the emo anthems, so it's like I guess I get it, but Three Cheers would have been really sick too.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So as far as like planning for this trip goes, I mean, so this is in Las Vegas. We mentioned that it's at the festival grounds. If you're not familiar, that's on the north end of the Las Vegas Strip. And the Las Vegas Strip is like a 4 to 5 mile stretch of basically the main part of Las Vegas, where you have all these like hotels and casinos and attractions, and it's really fun. And yeah, it's on the north end of that. So Circus, the Fountain Blue are some of the hotels that are there. And we ended up staying Mandalay Bay, which is actually on the complete opposite end of the strip of where the festival was. I would say like transportation from there the day of to the festival it was pretty easy for us, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I'd agree. It was on the opposite side. I think we were as far away as we possibly could have been from the festival fairgrounds, but I still think we managed to get there in under 30 minutes. So,
Yeah, we got up early and I wanted to see Alizana, who was like one of the first bands that were
yeah,
playing. So I think we were trying to get there by like 9:30, 10, and yeah, we got there in like less than 20 to 30 minutes, I think, just like walking and using the trams and all that kind of stuff. And then another thing when planning was we were trying to decide how long to make the trip and when to get there. And I remember for me, and part of the reason why we wanted to go too was we'd never been to Vegas either. So Alex and I thought, we'd make a weekend out of it and just like do a couple other things while we're there. And so we decided to go from Friday night until Tuesday was when we left. So we had an extended weekend there.
Vegas is great. Even just going there for the weekend, there's a lot to do for sure.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing for people to consider is one of the biggest things is the side shows. Yeah,
Yeah,
so like I think it would have been really cool to see like maybe A Day to Remember, or I mean, it's well planned, Boys Like Girls. And these are like the official side shows, right? Like weren't there like a couple other like that weren't announced by when we were young, but
I
other
believe
bands were?
so. Yeah,
Yeah.
there was definitely a lot going on leading up to that weekend.
Yeah. And Silverstein played like an underground show in like a tiny
Right.
basement.
Yeah, yeah. They played their little hardcore show. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that would have
Um,
been really, really awesome. And Seosin also did one. So yeah, like I mean, a lot of the bands are getting there early to try to put on these shows. So if that's something that's important to you and you're going out there, then definitely try to get there maybe like Thursday night or like early on Friday, so you can make sure you can catch an extra show or two before the festival. So what about the day of? So we got there Friday. We just spent Saturday kind of exploring Vegas, and then Sunday came, and we mentioned, we wanted to get there early. So what? We got up at 7, and
we got up at 7 and we were originally planning to get breakfast. Can't remember where we were gonna stop, but we were gonna find a sit down place. But as we were walking and taking the tram, we decided it was gonna be a lot easier and a lot faster to just go straight to the festival grounds. We had stopped at a food truck and had delicious breakfast sandwiches and breakfast burritos.
I think we ended up getting there like 9 or 9:30. But the thing with Vegas is nothing is as close as it seems on the strip. So that's why we just stopped at the food truck, which was actually one of the best decisions we could have made anyway. because it was just really good. Instead of walking down to another restaurant and then walking back up to where the festival was. So that's what we did, and we got there. Yeah, we got there around 9:30, and the first thing we did was we went to get merch.
Yeah.
We got there. There was like hardly anyone in line. We still used our exclusive Verizon
We
pass.
got the plug from Verizon. All I did was show them the top of my home screen. That could have been a screenshot for all they knew, but definitely Verizon. They definitely plugged us for real.
Yeah, so Verizon has this stage at the festival, and we got a notification ahead of time saying if you're a Verizon customer, you have quick access to the merch line, and they were going to have a special stage or a special section of GA for their Verizon stage that you could go ahead and be a part of. So we did that for the merch line, and they told us, oh, for when you go to the Verizon stage, make sure you show them your little Verizon that you're a customer, so that you can go ahead and be in that special area. So we did that. We got merch real quick. I got like the basic when we
Yeah,
were young.
I was gonna say we got festival merch and like just the basic when we were young, and there's the names on the back of it. But
Oh yeah,
we had gotten festival merch. They had, if I remember correctly, it wasn't everybody's merch. So it was just like this really big pop up right outside the gates, and they were selling the When We Were Young merch, and I think My Chemical Romance merch. But the like main, so everybody's merch was sold at a really big tent when you got in through the gates. Um, but I just wanted to mention that it was just the festival merch that we were able to get access to and cut the very short line with our Verizon pass. So
and also, if you don't want to like get your merch the day of the festival, they do have a merch booth right by Circus Circus, where they post on their Instagram exactly the days and the times. But you could stop by any time before the festival if you don't want to be carrying that around the whole day you're there. So we got our shirts, and then we waited in line to be let into the actual festival grounds. And I think we waited maybe 30, 45
I was
minutes.
going to say 30, 40 minutes. We went through security and
And people
there
started
was
running.
people started running. There was still another gate though.
Mhm.
So they had barricades put up basically. So it was like the entrance for the entrance. They had these barricades
Right.
put up so nobody could run to the stages yet. But as soon as you got through security, um, we basically got to that very, I'd say, iconic purple carpet with the big When We Were Young
Mhm.
sign. And we just kind of waited there probably for another 15, 20 minutes before they removed the very big barricades and people took off. And we took off as well. Apparently we had gone straight to the purple stage when we were looking for merch. And turns out merch was right to the left as soon as you pass the barricade.
So yeah, there was this merch symbol here, and we looked over there, but there's two tents, I guess. And when we looked over, it was just like the same festival merch here at this tent. So we're like, okay, maybe there's like another tent somewhere else for the band merch, which is what we were looking for. So we like did a whole lap around, and it wasn't until we got to like the Alliance stage or Ghost stage that we're like, oh, there's like another tent for the band merch, and now the line is like so backed up.
Yeah, we had waited 45 minutes just to get maybe 2/3 of the way through the line.
Yeah, and then we said, well, we don't want to miss. I didn't want to miss Alisana. You didn't want to miss Alisana either, and we
Yeah,
said, let's just go over.
yeah. So
Thankfully, we had the Paradox was playing. They were kind of like the opening band to the festival.
absolutely, they absolutely
Uh,
ripped. They played my favorite song, Imani, and covered a Green Day song.
yeah, shout out the
Um,
Paradox.
Shout out
They
the
were
Paradox band.
Yeah,
Those
no,
guys are
they were
cool.
fun. At least we got to listen to them while we waited in that line, and it kind of set the vibe for the whole festival, right? It's like that classic.
Yeah,
They're an up and coming band, which is really cool, but they had that classic like pop punk kind of sound to them.
yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, the only other thing I'll highlight here with the festival, I guess for people that don't know, is so we have 5 stages, or we did this year. You have the purple and pink stages are kind of your main stages, where you have like your headliners and your bigger bands. And then your other bands will be scattered around the Ghost stage, the Alliance stage, and the Verizon stage. As you can see, various water stations throughout. The lockers were located at the front, and we did rent a locker. That was about $30 to $35, I think, for that full day rental. And I mean, I was glad we had it because we were planning on being there from, I mean, till from open until close.
Yeah. I was glad we had it too. Just like the smaller things like your wallet or your keys. I can't remember if Rico had a hoodie or not, but it was very convenient. I think it was definitely worth it.
And then the only other thing I'll highlight on the map that I wasn't really expecting were like fun zones, I guess, where you could just like lounge and they had like
Yeah.
little setups of what your bedroom could have looked like back in when all this music was like super popular.
Yeah.
Um,
And they had the porta potties where you could throw down too. So
yeah.
I'm
Yeah, as
just
far as
kidding.
restrooms go, they had a bunch of porta potties, but they also had like actual restrooms, like proper bathrooms and stuff. So that was nice. You don't always see that at music festivals.
Yeah. So there was places where you could take photos, and
Yeah.
I might have saw a little section where they had a couple arcade games. There's a lot
Yeah.
going on. There's a lot going on the side for sure.
Yeah, I was thinking. I mean, we could talk about what we brought and what are some essentials like for people to
Ye-
bring. Like I had like a little fanny pack, and I had my earplugs. I don't think I brought a hoodie, but it's definitely the lockers were big enough where both of us could have brought hoodies. And
Yeah, and then like I think the biggest lifesaver ever was I even have it right here. Just water, an empty water bottle,
yeah,
empty plastic water bottle. I got this one out of Walgreens right before the show, and the water stations, I believe, were very conveniently placed. Yeah,
yeah, that's definitely number one. I mean, for me, also the sunglasses were a must.
sunglasses.
I had them
Yeah,
on for most of the day, and
they did
then
let us bring in some electrolyte packets too, so
oh yeah,
that was cool.
yeah, that was helpful. And then sunscreen, 100%. I thought I didn't take people seriously. Everyone was saying, bring sunscreen, reapply sunscreen. I brought it just in case, but I was like, whatever. No, the sun in Vegas is different.
Yeah, so me and Rico, we haven't been to Las Vegas, but we've been out west before, and it's different, I think, than like this East Coast weather. The sun is definitely it has its moments. I forgot to apply sunscreen in the morning, but I definitely wish I had some.
Did you apply it all while we were there?
I don't remember. I don't think I did,
These
but it
guys are
was
nuts.
yeah.
Well, I don't think you
Um,
didn't sunburn though. I think you're pretty
I
good
didn't
anyway.
sunburn. My melanin saved the day for sure.
Yeah, no, I definitely needed to reapply a couple of times. So I was glad I had that. I think we're ready to talk about kind of when they release a schedule. So schedule release, I know everyone was waiting for this for the longest time. October 14th. So just like what is that? 1.5 1 week before the festival.
Yeah, 1 week before the festival, which is, I guess, when they typically do it. Leading up to it, there's a lot of comments about where's the lineup, where's the lineup, drop the
Yeah.
lineup. So I think it's normally a week before the festival, but still a lot of pressure. I think I spent 2 hours trying to figure out who I was going to see.
What do you think when you first saw it?
I thought, why in the world do I have to pick between Mom Jeans and A Day to Remember? That was a pretty big one. I
Yeah.
did I did have to move, or I did have to miss Movements, which was a bummer. I thought I was gonna be able to make it, but Pierce the Veil, I couldn't miss Pierce the Veil. So
Yeah, Mom Jeans is one where I definitely would have thought they would have played earlier in the day.
yeah,
Um,
shout out Mom Jeans.
Shout out Mom Jeans. Yeah. Also, I remember leading up to the schedule release. Dance. There was a lot of speculation around Dance Gavin Dance. Which lead singer was going to be there? What were they going to actually play?
I think that leads us to our next point, which is, did these bands actually play their full albums, Rico?
Yeah. So I mean, everyone kind of took it a little bit differently, right? So you had some bands that, like Jimmy Eat World, and they played their full album front to back, first track to the last track, as it is in order. You had bands that said, we know all our hits on this album are at the very front of the album, so we're going to play it at the end so people stick around for the whole thing. And then you had some bands like Kohi that were like, you know what, we can't fit an hour and 10 minutes, into this 50-minute block or 55-minute block that you've given us. So we're just going to throw in a couple of old bangers and play at least most of the album, you know.
Yeah. So they followed through maybe 70%, but I can't blame them. It was, we know the festival got to pick what albums they were going to play. So it was difficult for sure for a lot of those bands. Coheed,
Yeah.
an example. I know that Neck Deep had to cut a song out.
Even yeah, Mayday Parade had to cut something out. I think a lot of these earlier bands definitely had to cut one or two songs out, and then once you got to like the 6 o'clock slots, I think everyone had enough time to play the full thing.
Yeah.
So when this came out, I was actually surprised at how easy it was for me to be like, oh, I already know what my day is going to look like. I'm going to go from like Alesana to Mayday Parade to Seosin, and then I had a couple of these other bands I wanted to see, but the I did think Amberlynn was kind of a tough choice because I wasn't sure if it was going to be Amberlynn with Stephen Christian, their original singer, or if it was going to be with Maddie Mullins.
Maddie
No
Mullins.
shade on Maddie Mullins, but I would have really wanted them to see them with Stephen Christian, and it turns out he did come out for some songs, so that was really cool. So that was a hard one for me because I wanted to see Mayday Parade for sure. I mean, I couldn't go to Vegas and not hear. I had a dream last night. We woke up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And we saw Las Vegas for
that's
sure.
right. That's right. Yeah, had to be there
uh,
for that.
yeah. I think I wanted to say that another difficult one, maybe for post alternative fans, Dance Gavin Dance and A Day to Remember playing at the same time. If
Yeah,
similar music taste, I know for sure. So I know that was difficult for some people. There was a lot going on. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. I mean, that's one thing you got to know going into these festivals. It's like, yeah, it's like super exciting to see like all these bands that are going to be there, but realistically, there's no way you can see like I don't know what is this 50 bands in one day. Like they're gonna
Yeah.
have to use. Yeah.
I think the set times were convenient or as best as they could have been, despite having to cut a song out or playing different songs.
Yeah, I will say, like it might be a little unfair to the bands if
Yeah.
the festival told them like, "Hey, play this album," but then I don't think it was until later that they learned like, by the way, you only have this much time,
Yeah.
so make it
Yeah.
work.
Yeah. Make it work. Yeah.
There was some beef with All American Rejects. I don't know exactly the situation, but they came out and they were like, we're not going to be able to play anymore because we had this like grand spectacle planned out, and the way we're being told to do things, it's just not how we wanted to do this for
Right.
you guys. So
Right.
they bowed out, and instead we got it Boys Like Girls, which a lot of people were still really excited about them. So it was really cool to get them on board last minute. I think we can talk about just like everyone we saw real quick.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So
we already
uh,
talked about Paradox, the
I talked
Paradox.
about Paradox Band. Great band. I got to see this very new and up and coming band, Ellis Dunes, which was cool. I left
That's
Alisana to
right.
see Ellis Dunes. There's this guy named Frank Iero. He's pretty up and coming, I believe. Ellis Dunes was cool. They definitely sound exactly like the record. These guys are professionals for sure. And then after Ellis Dunes, I caught Neck Deep, absolutely ripped.
Well, what do you think
I
of
didn't.
Alesana? You can't just skip over
Oh
Alesana.
yeah, Alessandra absolutely ripped as well. There's some unfortunate news going on with their drummer there, but
That's true. Yeah,
um,
that was one of those where I had already seen them because they came through Nashville on their album After the Emptiness,
yeah,
which I love the Emptiness, and the album After where I wasn't super excited about, but I saw them live and I was like, man, these guys really put on a show. Like they're like really like running all over the stage and they sound great while doing all that.
I was
So
gonna
I knew I
say,
had to see them. That's why we also stepped out of the merch line. And yeah,
yeah.
and they were awesome. They were great. And then you said you left like I think you left like 3 songs before they were done.
So that was my first time seeing Alessana, and I was blown away. Not that I had
Oh wait, did you
low
miss LSD?
expectations. So I got to see the ending half of Ellis Dunes. I
I
got
got
them to
you.
see what's their title track, like Permanent Rebellion or whatever.
What did they
Uh,
play? Did they
So
just play random?
they played their full album, and I think they played a couple new singles because apparently they have a new album on the way, which is pretty cool. Um,
Okay,
um, but yeah, that was my
and
first
then
time seeing
Neck Deep, right?
Alisana. Yeah. Then I saw Neck Deep, right? So they absolutely blew my mind. That was my first time seeing them as well. I believe they're
I,
from the UK, so
yep.
I didn't want to miss it for anything for us here in
They're
the
from, I
States.
didn't know they were from Wrexham in Wales, actually, which is,
Oh,
yeah, part of the
nice.
UK. And, that I only know about Wrexham because of that Welcome to Wrexham show, or that, that's about that soccer team with
Yeah. What's his name?
Ryan Reynolds
Ryan Reynolds.
and oh man,
Yeah.
I forgot the other guy's name, but
Shout out Neck Deep and that other guy. I'm
yeah.
just kidding.
I'd always seen clips of Neck Deep, and they always sounded great. And yeah, when I
Yeah.
joined a little bit later after Ali's Hana ended, and yeah, they were awesome.
Yeah. But as soon as I got to Neck Deep, that's when I realized, okay, this festival is going to be a little different because they opened with a different song than what the opening to the album they were playing. So
Yeah, it
that's
was
when
like
I
a mixed
realized,
bag, right? Like it was
yeah,
all the songs from that album, but they scrambled
they,
them around,
yeah,
basically.
exactly. So that's when I realized, okay, the album concept is a little hard to pull off.
Then after Neck Deep, I that's where we kind of split up. I stuck around that pink and purple stage area for Mayday Parade. They were also a band that scrambled their set up. They played everything off of A Lesson in Romantics, but of course they waited till the end to play Jamie All Over. Banger, and that whole album is, I think, a 5 out of 5. It's got a lot of great songs on it. And where did you go after Neck Deep?
So after Neck Deep, I was starving.
Yeah.
After
Oh
Neck
yeah.
Deep, I went to the side and got some tacos. There was I'd say there was quite a handful of food options.
There
Um,
were there were a lot of food options, I thought, kind of in that area after the
yeah,
locker before you get into the festival. I think it's like a lot of kind of local vendors, but we
yeah.
didn't talk about that earlier, but we'll hit on it now. So yeah, there's plenty of food options, and just be ready to fork out some cash for food and drinks.
Yeah, I paid well, actually I paid $15 for these tacos, but there
Okay.
was a moment where I paid $20 for a hot dog. Which is crazy. Sneak in your
Yeah.
own hot dog or something cuz that was
You mean a pocket dog?
a pocket dog. Sneak in your own pocket dog.
Yeah. And then
um
drinks, yeah, if you want like an alcoholic drink, I think we're like, I don't
oh
know, like
man.
20, $23
I think
easily.
it was like $18 for a White Claw. That's crazy. And you know how
Oh
big,
yeah.
just like what is it, like 10 ounces or something. I don't know. Everything was expensive. I think normally at festivals, food, drinks tend to run expensive, but just be prepared for that.
I will say Vegas food and drink in general is fairly expensive. So
Vegas is expensive.
it's kind of, you kind of expect it. It's kind of in line. And just know, you probably
Yeah.
will want to get some food, and it probably will cost a good good bit of
Yeah.
money.
But yeah, after food, after tacos, well, I thought it was really cool. So I got these tacos and then I sat down under one of the tents, and this tent had like a mist fan, and it was getting everybody like in a good way. It was like very spread out. The tents were like very well placed. The tent seemed very sturdy. It was great. So that
It
was
had
very
like
convenient.
artificial grass, right? So you can
Yeah,
kind
so they
of
had artificial grass. I was just sitting there on the ground eating my tacos, watching who was I watching? I was watching Amberlyn eating my tacos.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and it was great. It's good tacos.
Especially, and getting some shade in those under those tents too is a
Yeah.
big plus.
Yeah, so those were
Um,
scattered out throughout the festival. I think there was like 3 big areas where you could just chill out on these tents.
yeah, and
Yeah.
so then after that was when we kind of regrouped for Seosin,
Yeah.
and that's one of those bands that for me I just never got to see growing up, and
Well,
then
I
it
feel
was
like
like
they
they
rarely
rarely
tour.
toured. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
We
yeah, I
met up
mean
for that.
them playing. They had Cove singing, and he sounded great. They were a lot of fun to watch. They were just sounded really good. They were one.
Um,
They also had to cut one song, but I didn't complain about the one. I thought it was a reasonable choice, the one that they cut.
yeah, they absolutely ripped. I don't know his name, but their guitar player absolutely like so precise.
And all
Yeah,
the harmonies, the vocal harmonies sounded
vocal
really good.
harmonies were great. Yeah, it was. Man, I'd go see Say Ocean again.
So yeah, then afterwards, Coheed, right?
Yeah, so we caught a glimpse of 303 walking over to Coheed, and the ending of Dashboard Confessional. We got to get vindicated there.
Yeah, that's so that was a fun thing about some of these bands saving their songs, their best songs until the end, is that we got to hear Vindicated and Hands Down, which are like
Yeah,
my favorite Dashboard songs.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
we were waiting for Coheed, so that was really cool. And then Coheed, they were awesome.
Oh man, that was my first time seeing Coheed. This was my first time seeing a lot of these bands, but I was blown away. Absolutely. Um, their drummer, awesome, very cool. Obviously,
Yeah.
Claudio.
Yeah, they're so good. It's a bummer that we didn't get the full album.
Yeah,
But we got all the biggest songs off of it. I
yeah,
think
and
the
even
ones they cut were like the last three from that little
yeah, I think so. The
4 or 5
Wishing
part.
Well, Wishing Wheel,
Yeah.
Wishing Well. But the songs they added in for it, I think, were appropriate. Coheed
Yeah.
fans showed up. There's a lot of people going crazy there.
I
I wasn't
know.
expecting a mosh for the Suffering. Coheed fans are cool as hell. So yeah, we went to go see Census Fail, and Buddy Nielsen's a great. Well, he has a good stage presence.
Yeah, he came out in like a Freddie Mercury white tank top and like a fake mustache. I don't know. Wait, was it fake or
Yeah.
did he have it shaved? He might have just shaved it.
No, no, he has a mustache, but like he
Yeah.
had the armband and white tank top tucked in
And
blue
the
jeans.
little mic stand. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, this was the
Buddy.
only one that was like to me it sounded like he could have maybe overdone it the previous day and he just
Yeah.
didn't sound as great as I
So
would have
again,
wanted.
this was my first time seeing Census Fail, and they put on a great show. I don't think Buddy sounds like he did on that record.
Yeah.
Yeah, but great
Yeah,
show regardless. Shark
that was
Attack
yeah,
during Shark
had
Attack.
they brought out a bunch of floats, like shark floats, and then like a little boat, and he got on the boat and he was like crowd surfing on the boat, and I mean
Yeah.
that was
Yeah, he
awesome.
made it to like the sound check like booth area. I was like, that's crazy. And then they sent him back. So
Yeah,
pretty
the
cool.
crowd was also one of the most fun crowds. I thought like everyone knew all the words to all the songs, and
Yeah, I
like
was like, the Census Fail crowd is like, this is
up to this point, we've kind of been jumping around from stage to stage a little bit. And this is for me where I was like, it would be cool to just stick around at the Ghost stage because there was Starting Line and Motion City soundtrack coming up, and I could get like a good spot in the crowd where I could be kind of close to the stage if I stuck around there. So that was my move. Even though Silverstein was coming up, I wanted to stick around after Census Fail and go to Starting Line. And that was for me one of the biggest surprises of the day of like how much I enjoyed like a show. I had never seen the Starting Line, but I grew up on them and they were just great vibes the whole time. Like they were just like very fun, like very, very good energy from just like maybe just a lot of nostalgia too. Those were some of the songs I hadn't heard in a very, very long time, and they sounded awesome. Ken Vizzoli sounded great. The whole band sounded really good. It was just a good time. And I think, and you had split off after Census Fail to go
Yeah,
to
so
Silver.
after Census Fail, I went to Silverstein, and my first time seeing Silverstein, and wow, I think that for me was like the best show. So, like you were saying, for you with the Starting Line, for me it was Silverstein. Shane Told, great front man, the band. I was surprised. They just came up there, and I think it's like 4 or 5 of them, and just absolutely killed it.
Yeah, that was one where I'm like, man, I wish it would have played like any other time because I totally would have gone and tried to see Silverstein. Hopefully they come through Nashville sometime soon because that record is just really good. And you put me on to them, so shout out
They
Camilo for
let's
that.
go.
Before we talk about the next one, I just noticed I totally forgot to mention We Are the In Crowd. That was one that I caught. So the Verizon stage, if we go back to the map, it's like right in between when you're walking from the Purple and Pink stage to the Ghost and Alliance stage. So like if you're kind of like walking from one band to the other and you want to catch someone in the rising stage in between, it makes it really convenient to just like stop through and see a couple songs there. So that's what I did for We Are the In Crowd. I caught like 2 or 3 other songs, and this smaller kind of band, but definitely, part of the scene growing up. And I remember catching them at a Warped Tour like 10 plus years ago. And on the way over to Vegas, their drummer was on my flight, and I had to say hi to him, and he was there with his wife, and they're also the parents of Doug the Pug, which was really fun. So it's like I had to say hi to him, of course, because he's in We're in the Crowd, but also to check in on how Doug the Pug was doing.
Absolutely, Nashville legend.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So then I had to go and also catch a couple of their songs, and they're really good too.
For me, after Silverstein, I went to get my $20 hot dog, and I was ready to go see Motion City Soundtrack, but my feet were just
Yeah,
killing me. I was out. I was worn out.
same. That was the
So
original plan, because
yeah,
by the time I stuck around for starting line, I was at like the third or fourth row for Motion City Soundtrack, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna be right here. But I
yeah,
also haven't eaten all day, and my feet are killing me, and I haven't
yeah,
used the bathroom in a long time.
yeah,
So unfortunately, I had to sacrifice Motion City Soundtrack and also
yeah.
get a
We saw
20.
them from afar. They sounded great. We didn't see Patrick Stump, but we've seen Motion City Soundtrack together before.
Same. I was about to
Yeah,
say that. I Sad Summerfest.
yeah,
So I think that for one reason, that was the reason we were like, okay, I guess, it's okay. We skip one. Hopefully we can catch them another time, because I mean they just seem like really great guys, and they sound
yeah,
really good.
yeah, yeah.
But my feet, I needed to lay down for like 30 minutes.
So then after food, refilled our water bottles, and I was planning to go see Movements, but you could just tell that the crowds were surrounding the purple and pink stage for the bigger bands that were to come up. So I had to sacrifice Movements, unfortunately, because you could see the crowds. So me and Rico made our way to the purple stage, I believe,
Yeah.
to see Pierce the Veil.
Yeah, I think that was the point where, we got to Pierce the Veil, and we kind of looked at the rest of the night at the pink and purple stage, because they're right next to each other. So if you're at one stage or the other, you could still catch the band that's on the other stage, and catch the whole show, and it's pretty cool because of that.
Yeah,
So we knew, once we're at Pierce the Veil, we're probably going to be there for the rest of the night for Jimmy World, Day to Remember, Fall Out Boy, and My Chemical Romance. But I was still surprised, because I saw Pierce the Veil 10 years ago at Riot Fest. I guess I was before they blew up on TikTok, and it's just the size of the crowd was insane here this
insane.
year when we were young. So yeah, we were able to scoot in quite a little bit, to where we got closer to, I want to say the front, but closer to the front for the
Yeah,
rest of the night, which was good. But once we
Kellen
were there,
Quinn.
we're
Yeah,
like locked in. Like there's no
yeah,
going out. Yeah.
yeah. Kellen Quinn showed up for um
Mhm.
King for a Day, obviously. But yeah, so we were in the middle of that crowd, and you can very easily see both stages.
The other feature for Pierce the Veil, you mentioned Kellen Quinn. They also brought out Jason Butler
Jason
for
Butler, yeah,
the song that he's on the record, and then oh shoot, I always remember her name, but the girl from Tonight Alive, she came out for as the feature for Hold On Till May, which was really
yeah,
cool. Pierce the Veil's show was great. I was pleasantly surprised at how great they sounded, especially on King for a Day. With the back and forth with Kellen, because those are not easy parts.
no, no, they sounded great. All the stages sounded really good. It was like um, it wasn't just like a lot of noise. You could very clearly make out, even with earplugs.
Yeah.
You could
And you didn't
definitely
have
hear
to
the
be
songs.
at the like right next to the stage at the front of the crowd to
Yeah,
really hear everything well. You could be far back,
yeah.
and still have like a good experience.
Yeah, so I was gonna say I think we were a football field away from Pierce the Veil, and it sounded really good. And then we saw Jimmy Eat World. Man, they were I don't know,
They're
they
just
were
so
good.
polished. Yeah.
They were good. Yeah, so polished. That's man, yeah, they did a really sounds so corny, but like they just sounded really good.
And Bleed American is one of those. They were on my must see list too, because Bleed American has like some signature songs like Bleed American, The Middle, Sweetness. It's got so many good songs on it. And the interesting thing is a lot of like the fast-paced songs are towards the beginning of the album, and they played it straight through front to back. And towards the end, it's like definitely more like mellow, like a somber kind of vibe. And they're
Yeah.
good songs, but it was just a different vibe towards the end of Jimmy World than
Yeah.
like when we had just watched Pierce the Veil, like,
Yeah, it was definitely like a time to breathe for sure, but that's not to put them down at all. I thought they absolutely killed it.
oh, for
All these
sure.
bands killed it, but like I don't know, Jimmy Eat World. I feel like they always show up. I think that was my second time seeing Jimmy Eat World.
Same.
Yeah, so they're all back to back, like we said. The stages right next to each other. So after
Mhm.
Pierce the Veil, Jimmy Eat World, and then after like
And there's like little time between
immediately,
them. Yeah.
yeah, probably 5 minutes, but immediately after Jimmy Eat World, we got to A Day to Remember. How many? So was this your first time seeing A Day to Remember, Rico?
This was my first time seeing Day to Remember, and that's also why they were on like my must-see list. And
Yeah,
they, I mean, first of all, the set was really cool. They played Homesick, and the theming of the whole set was like really, really fun
yeah.
compared to everyone that we had seen up until then. And then Jeremy McKinnon, he sounded awesome. The full band sounded great.
I believe this is my fifth time seeing A Day to
Dang.
Remember. Yeah, five, right? Maybe my sixth, but I'm pretty sure it's my fifth time seeing A Day to Remember. And they're never let down. I love all those guys. Kevin Scaff absolutely rips on guitar. And the Never Let Down, expectations were met easily for
Mhm.
A Day to Remember.
That
Yeah, it was
was
cool. It was cool to see
that was a
Homesick played front
blast.
to back. Yeah.
Did we have crowd surfers on Day to Remember? I'm trying to remember
Yeah,
when
there
they
was
started.
there was a
Yeah.
lot going on during A Day to Remember. For Have Faith in Me, they always do this is the song for the girls. Girls get on your guys' shoulders. Obviously, Mr. Highway, disrespect your surroundings.
Yeah.
Everybody disrespected their surroundings. Yeah.
And, I mean, and then, like, what an epic intro with, like, the downfall of us all, like, to
Oh,
start the whole
always.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I know you've seen them, like, 5 times, so you
No,
probably
no, but still, like,
know.
it's like it hits every time. As soon as the chant gets going, like, bro, the pit opens up. Awesome.
And, like, at this point, like, 'cause up until a Day to Remember, like, I feel like you had people still trying to work their way through the front of the crowd, and I was like, "Okay, like, that's fine," but, like, then after that, I feel like people were still trying to shove their way through, and it was like, there's no going through, and then you saw people even going the opposite way and trying to get out from the front just because it
Oh,
was getting
man.
so
Yeah.
it's so crammed and kinda chaotic, and, like, you saw people, like, kind of their kids trying to back out,
Yeah,
so just
definitely
kinda be
shoulder
ready,
to
like
shoulder.
so
We had
be ready, especially if you're like bringing kids. Like it's especially those last bands. It gets crowded. It gets a little rowdy with like kind of the moshing and all that kind of stuff. So
right. Yeah, so then we got to Fall Out Boy. That was my first time seeing Fall Out Boy, and they ripped. No, I'm just kidding. They was like I'm saying the same thing for all these bands, but Fall Out Boy, Patrick Stump, you know, he has the vocals of an angel. What can I say? And then Pete Wentz's ponytails or his little hair bob
yeah,
things.
yeah, we'll throw a picture of that up here.
Yeah. Pete Wentz is looking cute as always.
Give me some
There's
hair info for sure. I'm gonna have to do that.
yeah. They had a lot of fire. They had a lot of pyro going on for Light 'Em Up, and you could really feel that heat. I was
So
like,
they were
that's probably when I got sunburned was during Fall Out Boy's set. It got pretty warm for Light 'Em Up.
you got burnt from the actual fire though.
Yeah, yeah. But it
uh,
was cool. Fall Out Boy set was really cool. They did like the Eras tour sort of thing. I know Patrick Stump had brought it up on his Instagram or Fall Out Boy's Instagram where he was talking about getting the different outfits.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they were the only band that even from the beginning when they announced this festival for 2024, they were the only ones that were like, we're not going to do the full album thing. We're doing our own thing, which is we're an Eras type of tour or type of show where we're playing select songs from each album.
yeah,
And yeah, and they designed this set so that it was based around whatever album they were playing songs off of,
yeah,
which was really fun. And their outfits, like you said, it
yeah.
was it was really really fun.
Obviously, we were tired at this point, but we couldn't miss My Chemical Romance.
Yeah, of course not. That was one of the. I mean, seeing Black Parade front to back. I mean, Even though I love Three Cheers more, Black Parade front to back still is like you gotta see it. And I know they just announced a tour for Black Parade,
Yeah.
so I'm
Um,
sure people are trying to go to that also.
yeah. Go catch Black Parade if you can. Absolutely life-changing experience. And then we were surprised at the end, they played a few songs. So I believe we got Na Na Na, and the day before us got I'm Not Okay.
Yep. And
And
we both got Helena.
yeah, it's pretty cool. I don't know. My Chemical Romance, I was all I've seen was just videos, clips, because they hadn't toured for a while and they, had that hiatus thing. And so it's like I was blown away.
Yeah, and I had seen them the year before they came through Nashville, and but they had some interesting picks. I think they wanted to pick songs that maybe they didn't play super often or that were a little bit more rare for them to play. So I kind of left that concert wanting a little bit more, and that was also like part of the reason for this me going to this festival. Is like, I want to catch every song from Black Parade, and I was crossing my fingers that they would play some extras. Honestly, I expected a little bit more extras, but I'm not going to complain that we got at least a couple.
Yeah.
So
Uh,
tallying them up, I mean, that's like, I know I saw, I'm not counting the Paradox because we only caught them
no,
from the line of the merch.
yeah,
But 12 full sets is what I got. And then like
I got
three or
11.
three or
Yeah.
four like partial, two or three partial.
Yeah, I got 11 full sets because I have my notes app right here. And yeah, you definitely get to see some bands for sure.
I know it comes with a price tag, but we went to see Blink 182 this year as well, and that was how much was that? Almost
It's
$200.
$200. Yeah. So,
Right. So
so
like,
just for a little bit double the price and all those bands, I mean, was it worth it, Rico? Was that price appropriate?
yeah, we'll talk about that at the end of the video as long as people keep watching.
It's a fucking hour. God damn. Bro, they clicked off because we started talking about all these bands. They're like, this has nothing to do with Las Vegas.
No, yeah, for
Dude,
sure.
this
It,
hour
it,
is
it
gonna
was.
get trimmed down to like 20 minutes and it's be like, yeah, this band was great. Next.
Yeah, it's you saying the same thing for every single band. It
Yeah,
was great. It
yeah,
was great.
they
They're
ripped.
great. Let's talk about maybe like tips for just having the best experience overall. Let's like summarize how people can see the most bands and just have a good time at the festival.
Yeah. So I think you really get a bang for your buck if you go to the side shows. So get there early. I don't know
Even a
what.
day of the
Yeah.
festival, just make sure you get there early. You don't want to be wasting your morning waiting for the tram in Las Vegas or waiting for an Uber and then
Yeah.
missing the first one or two bands that maybe you wanted to see.
Yeah.
So definitely getting there early, maybe buying your merch early, so that way when you're at the festival, you can just focus on the bands. Planning ahead for when you want to take a break for food, water, or just like resting. I think that's helpful and realistic.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would also say, we talked about making sure you bring water, making sure you bring sunscreen. If being in front is important to you, like if being in front closer to the stage, I would say try to stay at one stage as long as possible because a lot of people are just there for one or two bands and then they'll move on to a different stage and then you can keep working your way up. Hmm.
That's how I got to Census Fail because I know we got there and it was crowded, and then whoever had finished playing left. I think it
Oh
was
yeah.
Story of the Year, and they'd finished playing, and like it was just whoosh. Everybody, everybody had like gone, and I was like, wow, okay. And so you can really,
So that's a good move. And then also when like planning ahead, try to decide ahead of time if you're okay leaving some bands mid set. Kind of like Camilo
yeah,
left Alexander early.
yeah. That was definitely something I'd never even considered. Is that you can leave early, you can cut the set time in half if you want to, and go catch a different band.
I would say those are some of the like essentials. Would you do it again?
Would I do it again? So I would do it again given the experience we have with it. The price is a little hefty. I'm not going to lie, especially for a college student like me. Basically, worked a lot, saved a lot. This was like my thing that I was like, okay, my one trip of the year, this is what I'm going to save for.
Do I think it was worth it and would I do it again? I would say, yeah, for sure. I don't regret, as even though it was expensive. I don't regret going. It was a lot of fun. Like we said, we saw Blink and Pierce the Veil for almost $200 this year. So seeing these 12 really great bands plus some other bands and just having a good time and vibing with everyone here at the festival for a little bit more than that. I thought it was still worth it. Now I know we got it would be lineup dependent. I know we have the lineup that was released for 2025.
Yeah, so I was very interested into going again for 2025. I'm a big The Story So Far fan, and I've never seen Knocked Loose. Motionless in White's pretty cool too. Gaslight Anthem's going to be there as well. So there was a lot of bands that I was like, man, this is really worth it. Obviously, like Panic at the Disco's playing their full length album, the A Fever You Can't Sweat Out. The lineup is cool. I don't think it was enough to influence me or Rico for the price. And then there's Warped Tour as well.
Right. I was gonna say, well, that's kind of the thing I was thinking of is like, do we go to Warp do when we were young, or do we try to go to Warped? That's a little bit more affordable, even though we don't know the lineup. I think we're still kind of thinking about it. Tentatively, we're going to Warped.
Yeah. Big year for alternative music.
Yeah. Yeah, I know a lot of people are excited about the 2025 lineup. For me, the last 3 years, like including this year of when we were young, they were like basically like A tier, like gotta go see them. Like I thought the lineup was 5 out of 5. And then this year to me just felt like a notch below, like just a little bit, like I wasn't as excited about them. Of course, like for me, it plays into a factor whether or not I've seen the bands already too, though. And for this year, there were a lot of bands that were, a big influence in my taste of music that I had never seen before, like the Starting Line, Coheed, Seosin, Day to Remember. That I was like, man, I just have to. I can catch all these bands in one place.
Right.
So that's that's also what made it worth it for me this year. And then for next year, maybe why I'm a little more hesitant. But
Yeah.
we'll see. It wouldn't take a lot to convince me.
Same here.
Yeah,
I think it was worth it. It definitely wasn't something that was weak, or everybody that played absolutely showed up, and the festival itself was really well put together.
it was such a good time. I would say, especially if you like festivals. Obviously, if you don't like festivals, don't go to a festival. For me, what helped justify it was that I made a weekend out of it with like a full Vegas. We're going to do a lot of things in Vegas type of thing. But I know some people I saw some forums where people are trying to like one day flying in the morning, fly out at night. And I get
saw
it.
that too.
If that's what you have to do, that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
But I don't know that my back can handle that at this age.
My Gen Z back, on the other hand, I'm just
There
kidding.
you go. That'll be Camilo's next video is
Yeah.
doing everything in one day.
Yeah, saving the most. So today we're speed running When We Were Young festival. Yeah.
That's it for our video. I would say, like I said, we're gonna go to Warped Tour next year. So in a
Yeah.
year from now, if you want to see our review or thoughts on that, make sure you like this video and comment below.
Yeah. Or if we missed anything, any other questions about the show that me and Rico got to experience, for sure, comment below.
Yeah, for sure. We'll respond to those. All right. Well, Camilo, thanks for joining us. For
Yeah.
this
Thank you, Rico.
video.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Till next time.
Till next time. Till next review, Warped Tour.
That's right. See you in a year.
Bye. Yeah.